Ohio, we have the non-resident fellow at the Atlantic Council and former Ambassador Gina Winstanley. Welcome, Madam Gina. So the Vice President J.D. Vance, he said that the differences today are about the uranium and enrichment. Do you think that the thorny issues like Hormuz and other issues like frozen assets and so on are now solved?
Thank you so much for having me, Khaled. Well, they may certainly have found a way to navigate those issues. We've heard leaks and drips of information coming out about what was on the table and a fee structure. I know that Secretary Besson has said that it should be free passage. Uh, and so, what might be charged would not be a fee if it is something that's going to be assessed against ships. There are discussions about the release of funds, perhaps from a third country, as opposed to directly from the United States, that might make up that economic demand that Iran has insisted on. There is no doubt that some kind of economic recompense will be coming to the Iranians as a result of this war. We will see what they do. But there, as I said, with regard to Hormuz, there are ways of what's being charged, environmental fees or something like that, that like are charged for passage through the Dardanelles, for instance. There are other ways of doing it that are not strictly you are having to pay to come through here to Iran, which is what the United States objects to. So there are diplomatic ways of finessing that.
Okay, the foreign minister of Pakistan is in Washington, and Mr. Trump is talking about a red line, and he said that he needs days to study the proposal, the Iranian proposal. They talk about some key differences, but the question:
Yeah.
what kind of a deal that will be acceptable for Trump today?
Well, what the president says is acceptable today may not be what the final agreement looks like. It's very clear there are no good options in front of the United States right now. As a result of the war, the balance of leverage has shifted in Iran's favor. There's no doubt about that. The fact that the Strait of Hormuz is on the table as opposed to simply the nuclear file makes clear that the Iranians have additional leverage. The president has said many things publicly, but he has also said frequently publicly that it's been won. We heard him say now that we had a complete military victory over Iran, destroying their navy and so on and so forth. So we won't know what he is going to accept until the deal is signed. But we will know even beforehand that what is agreed is certainly not what the United States was looking for when it gave up negotiations and returned to war again in February. There was a definite miscalculation, and there are changes in the region that are going to come as a result of this war that were not desired by the United States and certainly not anticipated by President Trump.
But the key differences, as J.D. Vance, they are related to enrichment
Mhm.
and also the uranium reserves in Iran. So, what can Trump accept? Because he raised the ceiling, a lot regarding these 2 points.
Yes.
And Iran, 1 hour ago, and through the National Security Council, they refused that the enriched uranium will be taken out of Iran.
Indeed. Well, they may change their mind on that as well. And while it is highly unlikely that it would come directly to the United States, the IAEA could be the recipient of the highly enriched uranium. President Trump might modify his objections to either Russia or China taking the highly enriched uranium. We know after the Obama deal that Russia got most of it, and certainly hasn't used it in an ill way since then. So the president might be convinced to allow Russia to take it. Or, of course, it could be diluted, turned to glass, or diluted down. So all of those things are options that are ways to move forward on this agreement that would be acceptable both to Iran and to the United States. They're going to have to figure that out, but there are options other than the ones that the president is saying he objects to.
Quickly, please, Ambassador. If Mr. Trump will go along, what will be the difference between the deal that he will sign and the Obama deal? And until when he can market that for the Republicans, the conservatives, and so on? And he always says that I won in these negotiations or war.
Yeah. He does. And the difference in the deals is likely to be very little. That doesn't mean that it won't be described in a different way. And certainly the president saying that he has put off Iran's ability to reach a nuclear weapon will be true. That will be true. And that is where it may be likely he will pin his word victory on. But it's going to look very similar.
Thank you very much. From Ohio, non-resident fellow of the Atlantic Council and former Ambassador Gina Winstanley. Thank you.
Thank you.